Good morning, team. This week with our newsletter article, I actually wanted to do a little bit of a video because I wanted to have a chat with you. I love talking, in case you hadn't gathered that. But look, the reason why I wanted to have a chat is that over this last few weeks, we've had so much wisdom being shared. I know many of your teams have been having massive trainings, events last week in Western Australia. I know there was another great collaboration between a lot of leaders and some training there as well. But the other thing too that, of course, that we've been doing is lots of the training calls that we're putting in. Our goal within our franchise support team and our customer service team this year is about bridging the gap, looking at any place in which we can bridge the gap so that we can support you even more. That is with our relationships, of course, with our customers. That as well, again, how can we bridge the gap there? So we're being very proactive with customer appreciation calls and those types of things. We would really encourage you to do the same. Just because we're looking at doing some, there's no way that we're going to be able to reach the volume of customers that we have as a complete business. However, each one of you can make sure that you are doing some of those beautiful customer appreciation calls. Now, in the training that we've done with the customer service department, it's as simple as just a phone call that is nothing more than to say, thank you for being part of the Juice Plus family. Thank you for your business. We really appreciate it, especially those customers that have been on Juice Plus for quite a while. And then the other side of that, of course, is also supporting customers where they might be new and they may not even be into their Juice Plus habit as yet. So what are you doing to make sure that they're getting into that habit? Having that little kind of catch-up chat with them, not just sticking them into a Facebook group and hoping that that's the thing that actually looks after them. So I'd really, really encourage you to make sure that you're also bridging the gap when it comes to our customers. Now, the second part, though, is for each of you as franchisees. So we've been bridging the gap in a number of different places. Firstly, of course, with our new Getting Started call. So if you are an SDVF, or not quite an SDVF yet, if you're somebody who's brand new into our business, you might have only just started. So basically, this call is going to fit anybody, hopefully bridge some gaps, answer some questions between a brand new person starting up and maybe somebody up to is an SDVF and maybe has not qualified their businesses yet. So that section there, VF, DVF, SDVF, up to qualifying your business. And so that call is on a weekly basis. And we're going to be talking about, first of all, how to get to SDVF and qualify your business in case you haven't done that as yet. And then just a few other hints and tips to be able to bridge the gap maybe in your knowledge base there. Then, of course, there are also the weekly SC calls. So if you're an SC, make sure that you're in the SC group and coming onto those calls. They are open coaching calls. So there's a theme, definitely, but then there is a space for you to bring any questions to the table. Same again for those SSCs. So ramping that up just a little bit more. Our QNMDs as well. And then, of course, I have one-on-ones with our NMDs and also a weekly call that we can kind of check in on. So there are lots of different things where we're bridging the gap. The other one, of course, is the monthly compliance call that Ben and Alison will be working on just to make sure that you know exactly the do's and don'ts. Absolutely, we want you to be proactive and out there building relationships, building business. But social media is a little bit of a minefield as well. And so we have to be really, really aware of what we can and can't say. And sometimes it's just about tweaking a few words to be able to say the same message, but deliver it in a way which is compliant. And so the guys are there to be able to help you to do that as well. Also, we have our Hour of Powers. Now, last week was Richard Bliss' book. If you were not on live or you haven't listened to the recording, I'm going to really encourage you to do that because there's some old school wisdom in there that has never gone out of fashion. And I think sometimes what happens is when we kind of move forward and we've moved into the social media age and all the rest, we kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater. Everything kind of goes out. But what I know to be true is that really and truly, whether you're building online, offline, there's some of the core principles that just hold true. And I want to bring you back to one of the things that he said that I kind of brought. He'd actually said it in a previous call that I'd heard, and I brought it to the table with him. And it was around where he talked epic change can happen in your business. And it comes down to how many consecutive days of action can you string together. So it's looking at, so for example, if you think about it, this is really where the grid comes into play, which is just a sheet with 30 squares on it. You can have it as a sheet of paper. I've got a number of different grids here. So there's one there that is, again, has a grid on it. You can have the one that's on your virtual office. You can print it off. Or what I actually used to use in my business, towards the end, was actually each year, and I still to this day actually buy one of these planners. It's a book of 12 grids, basically, because, of course, it's the month as you go. And I use it for slightly different reasons now. It's all the events and all the travel at a a snapshot. However, that was a great one. Or go and buy a $2 cheap calendar at the shops and just have, there's again, a book of 12 grids. And that's actually what I used to do. I used to buy up a heap of old calendars that'd be going out on special kind of thing you'd get in the $2 shop. And I would have every new person came on. It was nothing to do with the date or anything like that. It was just that you had that book of grid. You had a grids, whole heap of grids there. So when Richard was talking about that consecutive, it was about consecutively talking to people. So even if you were to make a challenge that you were going to talk to one person, now I know many of you are doing more, and with social media we can kind of start to kind of do an awful lot of numbers. But I'm going to ask you a question. With no matter how many numbers you're doing, are there some quality conversations actually happening in there? Are you getting curious? Are you really getting to the crux of things? Are you building relationship? Because at the end of the day, whether they join your business there or not, the experience they have in that moment is actually going to tell a lot about you and also a lot about our company. So are you absolutely representing yourself in the way in which you would like to be seen? Are you building into and sowing into those relationships, whether they buy in that moment or not? Because one of the other things that I absolutely loved about what Richard said is, say, for example, during 2017, you consistently had spoken to one person every day. Now, some of them will be ready to kind of get on the product. Some of them may even be ready to join the business, but there's going to be an awful lot more no, not nows at that point in time. However, if you've been sowing into the relationship, they've been watching what you're doing. And what I loved about what he said is that you already have, say, 350, okay, or maybe even less, say, but there's still probably 300 people that it was no, not yet then that you get to revisit this year. You've already got relationships built rather than always looking for the next new person. I think it's a really, really important thing. When was the last time that you revisited those people who were on your list? What I always used to think about was that it was no, not now, never, no, not ever. And the reason being is that life changes for people. How often do we know where someone was at, no, definitely not, and then, there are many stories, a month, a year, 2, 3 years down the track. If you think about some of our amazing leaders that are already in the business, they were years, some of them, in the sowing of seeds. Adam, I can't remember how many years it was that Linda was sowing the seed with Adam before he said yes. Lauren Slocum, Jeff Roberti was, sowing seeds with her for years and years and years before she actually said yes. So it's about knowing. And do you think it was worth the wait? Do you think that it was worth going back and continuing to sow into the relationships with just those few names that I mentioned there? Absolutely. Absolutely. So what I would really encourage you to do is see how many consecutive days can you string together. The other powerful thing he talked about there was you can't base your motivation on your results. You got to base your motivation on falling in love with the process and the actual activity. I love that because, again, we can be going out there and having conversations and getting no after no after no. And if we're basing our motivation on actually getting out there to do that and the results of what it is that we're getting, we'll get deflated very quickly. But if we fall in love with the process and we actually get excited about talking to people, no matter what the outcome, believe you me, the yeses will come. They absolutely will come. But you will also get up each day excited about the prospect of having conversations with people and building relationships, because you're not just basing it on whether it's a yes or a no. You're basing it on the process. Another example that's been around our industry for a long time, and I know Richard has spoken about it as well. And I remember somebody sharing with me many, many moons ago now, it was probably, oh my gosh, probably was 20 plus. They said that just imagine you get paid for every no. Would you go out and have those conversations anyhow? Because if you think about it, every yes turns into hundreds, if not thousands of dollars over time. So really and truly, you're actually getting paid for the no's as well, because you needed to get those no's to get to that yes. So if you imagine that you're getting paid $50 every time you get a no, you would get out there and have those conversations no matter what the outcome. So my encouragement for you is to, first of all, listen to Richard's call if you haven't already done that, okay? Then set yourself a challenge. How many consecutive days can you string together? Have a little bit of a challenge maybe within your team. Okay, now if you get to 10 days and then you skip a day, oops, you got to start again. What can be your longest streak? How about going for a streak? How about going for a personal best between now and conference? really and truly, if you think about it, okay, the countdown now. We're heading into, you know, for our New Zealand guys, we've got conference in a few weeks' time there. And of course, our international conference, Australia, New Zealand, and international guests in June. How many days can you string together? I'd love for you to share. Alrighty, take care. God bless. Have an amazing, amazing week. Oh, and happy end of month. Okay.